About 2.5 million new voters on the National Voters Register are young people who have turned 18 years of age since 2016. With the biggest part of the population being the young people, there's likely to be a battle for who wins the souls and minds of what Museveni calls the Bazukulu. So, as we head to the 2021 general elections, what are the aspirations, interests, and demands of the young people, and can they make their numbers count? Tonight we host David Bala, aspirant youth representative Eastern Region, Patrick Mwesije, aspirant youth representative Western Region, Boniface Okot, aspirant youth representative Northern Region, and Esther Asingwire, aspirant national female youth representative. Gentlemen and lady, I am so happy that you honored our invitation to come for this show, and all of you, tonight, you are on the national spotlight. You're on the spot. And you know, young people whom you represent also represent the biggest part of Uganda's population. Whatever is going to happen in this election, whatever direction this country is going to take, is solely going to be in the hands of young people, because you have the numbers, because you have the numerical strength. When we win, as a country, we shall win together. If we go down as a country, we shall go down because of what you, the young people, will have decided in this election. But do you have this mental focus? Do you have the capacity? Do you have the grit? Do you have the courage and the audacity to drive this country forward using your numbers so that we can be in a better place? What is likely to be the agenda of the youth in this election? Bala.
Thank you very much, Patrick and NTV, for availing us this platform as young people aspiring for, political positions. The maiden age of the population in this country is about 16. They say almost 80% of the population are young people. So, any politician, any leader that thinks about transforming this country must have the young people at heart. We're about 40, 50, or close to 50 million Ugandans.
Yes, they have
in
you.
100.
Yes, they have you at heart, but what are they using you for?
Exactly. We're about 40 million plus. In 20 years, we'll be 100. So if we have very many challenges, while the population is 40, what will happen at 100, when we're 100? So that is the focus that we want to engage in as youth leaders. What is the quality of leaders we have? What are the qualities of the young people? Any politician, any leader that thinks about this country must focus on preparing the young people to take over leadership in this country.
For your case, you aspire to represent the youth of Eastern Uganda. For heaven's sake, those are like 38 districts. What can you do in 38 districts when we know an MP can fail to represent people in just 2 sub-counties? And do you think you can do anything with 38 districts?
I don't want to think, Patrick, that the problem is the numbers. I think that the problem is the quality of leadership. If we address the quality of leadership, we can have a critical number of about 50 people who can transform this country. So it's not about the numbers, it's the quality. And so we want to focus on making sure that the quality of leaders we have, especially young people, is good. But the leaders come from the population, and we are talking about young people being the majority. So we want to focus on mindset change and mentoring young people so that they make informed decisions, so that they make better decisions that can transform this country. So the focus is on the quality, not the numbers per se.
The quality. I want you to take a mental flight back, Patrick, because you want to represent the youth in Western Uganda, and you're actually NRM. During the 60s, young people, relatively young, because they are facing a problem of colonialism, it had to take Obote and his colleagues to stand up. They were just in their 30s. You come back in the 70s, early 70s, Yoweri Museveni was a young man. He had to take a stand. You come in the 80s, Dr. Kizza Besigye and his colleagues had to stand. We have seen young people rise in every generation to solve the challenges of the day. But the younger people of today, as if you don't want to lead. You have a psychology of fear. You have a psychology, I don't know of what. But you are a raw deal for the generation where you are.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. A raw deal. Not really. Maybe let me start like this, Patrick. The greatest resource that any country can ever have is not the oil, is not the fertile soils, is not the weather, but it's the human resource. And for countries like Uganda, where you have a huge proportion of your population being within the youth category, that is actually a huge bulge that, if well navigated with, if well used, if well taken advantage of, it is an opportunity in itself to transform a country. You speak about the president and speak about the 80s and you speak about the Dr. Kizza Besigye and all that. Actually, let's start it way back in the 1950s, 40s. There was a group of young people, the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Julius Nyereres, and the rest, the Obotes and others. They had a mission. They were young people like us, but they had a generational mission. By then, their mission was to bring independence to Africa. After that generation, we see a new breed of leaders coming in. The likes of President Museveni, our president, Mike Kibaki and others, who came in particularly to address issues of governance, to get the economy set off and running, and all that. Now, our generation is hence coming forth. But unless we define what our mission is, then we cannot bring change to this country. And for me, I think that there is, of course, so much at the moment happening in our country, from governance, from economic transformation, from all that. But for me, what I think that is extremely very important now, one, is the fact that young people in this country, regardless of our numbers, regardless of the fact that some are educated, others are what, we have no voice.
Wait a minute. And you purport to represent the NRM party on this discussion, for example, because you are an NRM youth leader. That's an indictment on your own party. How did you lose your voice? How can the majority of the people of Uganda lose their voice
it's not
under the leadership of the NRM party where you
It's not an indictment to the party.
It is.
Actually, our party is proud because right now, like for example, do you know we have over 60 young people who are offering themselves to pick a flag of the NRM across the entire country in all the different sub-regions. Do you know what that means? That means a hope for the future. That means a hope for the future and where we are going. So, but going back to what we're saying, we must have a generational mission. And before you cut me short, I was telling you about having a voice. For example, look at the previous parliament. We had a couple of MPs in the House. And also look, not only youth MPs, other MPs. Tell me those that have critically stood out to speak for the voiceless young people. And I can define them again. One time I was here and I defined them. I defined them. Look at the young people vending food on the streets. Our young people in landing sites, fishing, you know, in sand mines, in bricklaying, in garages, in what? Tell me that person who has focused to make sure that there is resources flowing from our various ministries and targeting those youths. So for me, I think what is critically important right now is that young people are poverty. And as a youth generation, yes, we might be active, pushing for electoral changes, pushing for what, but the most important thing is that how do we economically empower young people? How do we see a huge cross-section of our budget going into economically empowering our young people? Into economically training their minds, skilling our young people.
Your chairman of the party is listening to you right now,
and
you're telling him that he has not empowered the young people.
He must
the Bazukulu that he always talks about.
He must be very excited.
And probably you're one of the Bazukulu, and they're saying
I'm a very proud Muzukulu. Actually, our president is super excited. Last time. He was, congratulating us as youth leaders of NRM for having taken over so many positions within the youth structures. But I know the NRM party right now must be excited with the breed of young leaders that are coming up right now within the party. right? I mean, we always praised a group of young leaders coming through other parties.
You know, right now, Patrick, you may sit there and you talk and you think you're making sense. Maybe you are, but you're making sense to yourself. Because people see they are stranded. People see they're not empowered. And you're telling them you want to empower them. You represent a party that should have been upon them to be able to build the capacity and empower the young people of Uganda for 35 years, and they have not done it.
No. I think we cannot say for 35 years and they have not done it. That is not right, Patrick. Look at the many institutions of learning we have, apparently. Government, private, and others, including universities, including tertiary institutions and others. There has been a platform created, for example, for education, for the education sector in this country. Of course, I know quality is a question.
Yes, but you see,
I know quality is a question.
We
but
have
Patrick,
education, we have unemployment, we have unemployed youth, but also some of them are quite unemployable.
Yeah, and that's why we talk about the skilling. That's why we talk about the skilling, Patrick.
Esther Assingwire. Let me go to Esther Assingwire. You aspire to represent the youth of Uganda, the entire country, national female youth. I don't know how many districts, 150 or so. You get that position, what do you even do? Because people cannot even represent a constituency of 2 sub-counties. Esther, you want a whole country.
Yes, I believe in working as a team. Like you already know, we have structures right away from village, parish, sub-county, to municipality, to district level. So I believe in working as a team. So when I win this position, I'm going to bring the young people together. I'm going to get in touch with the young people in different positions so that we work together. I believe in working from down to top. So I believe a chairperson at village level can do something, a chairperson at parish level can do something, sub-county to district, as long as we bring them together and discuss and decide on one thing.
So you think that that unity, that cohesion, as we speak, is lacking? I mean, how do you even move from Kotido in Karamoja to Kisoro, from Vura to Virunga, from Kalangala to Nakasongola? And you think really that you can create, some kind of impact, or you just want to go and get a job and have some and be paid a better salary?
No, there is a greater impact I'm going to create because when you like I was saying earlier, that when you bring these young people together, every young Ugandan can be able to do something as long as you show them on how to do it. So I believe every Ugandan is gifted to do something as long as we work together, regardless of our political party.
So there have been all these programs that have come to help the young people, including the Youth Livelihood Program. Even they are supposed to take advantage of the Youth Capital Venture Fund or something like that, including Prosperity for All. Do you really think the young people where you come from have benefited? And if not, what needs to be done so that they can benefit? Because they can see people throwing their Corona coffee and all this kind of stuff, and some of them, they even wrote there, we do not have extension work services extended to them so that they can add value to their life and maybe turn around the world of agriculture, which is our advantage.
To a larger extent, most of the young people have benefited. The few who have not benefited, they are not aware. Which I'm going to do to make sure that all the young people get aware of these government programs and show them the steps on how to get these resources and benefit from them.
Okay. David Bala, I remember you were once Guild President Makerere University, right? And integrity is key. Values are key. Young people, left, right, and center, right now in this election are being moved left, right, and center, and in most cases, with all respect, some of them are being used. I wouldn't want to borrow a word that is very common nowadays. What do we need to do so that we have a young group of people that know their responsibilities, that know their right, that can stand and demand what is rightly theirs, and not just a matter of people who are going to be used for violence, who are going to be used just somebody is going to look at them as voters and stuff like that, to go beyond what is petty and common.
Patrick, Just to give you a bit of information, in the National Youth Council Act of 1993 was created with 3 objectives. 1 is to unite the young people. 2 is to engage and advocate for young people in socio-economic transformation. But 3 is to protect young people from being manipulated. It's a core of the party. You see, you say I was guild president at Makerere, and what you say is right. When I look at the environment right now, young people are being used. Why? Because as leaders, we have not taken the initiative. Because some of us have been leaders. We must take the initiative. Why should young people be used? Why should we allow to be used? For me, I think that that's a deeper issue of the mindset. What is the mindset of the young people who are allowed to be used? So if we are going to change the young people, we must go down and reach the young people through this National Youth Council structure and be able to mentor them and be able to help them change mindsets. You did not say at the beginning that I am a member of the Alliance for National Transformation, proudly.
Okay.
And one of the issues that we have focused on as the ANT is to change mindsets, is to mentor young leaders. Because this nation, 20 years from now, it is us who are going to be the heads of state. But imagine a lot of young people not mentored from all corners of life.
The Constitution was amended so that it can give anybody from 18 and above. So don't even talk about 20 years. The Constitution gives from 20, from 18, to, if you want, you can vie for the presidency.
There you go. It speaks to the urgency that we
But
have.
Then why is it that, for example, in NRM, you have a 76-year-old man who has served his country for the last 35 years, but you still want to say, you know what, go ahead. Yet, you say you have 11 million registered voters in your party, and yet you cannot at least say, you know what, offer competition, because competition, I suppose, can breed quality, but also say, you know what, you've done your part, it's been a good job, it's been a good race, you know, Patrick Mwesigye, I'm coming in.
No, Patrick, I'm gonna respond to that, but just before I go to that, you spoke about the issue of young people being used, and I want to quickly speak about it. Now, the question is not young people being used. Actually, the person we need to pose the question to is the person using young people for peanuts and for token. And the whole problem in this country is about understanding the value and the art of meaningful youth participation. For example, yes, we have the National Youth Council, quite an interesting structure, by the way. And the National Youth Act that you're talking about was borrowed from the African Youth Charter, which was, I think, drafted in 2005. Now, you know, we have countries which even have youth, like, for example, we have the Office of the Prime Minister right now. And an Office of the Prime Minister at the moment should be having like a youth advisory board that makes sure that every single program of government, every single policy, every single framework in this country does particularly respond to specific needs of young people. But what is happening now? You know, you find a policy out there that.
But do you realize that those are serious own goals you're scoring now?
No, you see,
Because
one of the reasons of a leader.
You belong to a party that is in power and has failed to do what you're telling us.
I know, Patrick, you cannot lecture me on this. I know for sure that I belong to the party. But what does the party need? It needs a new breed of young leaders like us. And I can tell you, our president is very excited right now. Our Secretary General is extremely very excited to see a group of youth leaders like us. Over 56% of us pick nomination forms for youth MP positions, and all of us are quality. And the party needs us. And just like you said, that tomorrow, 10 years from now, 3 years from now, or whatever, there could be a new breed of a young leader coming up as an MP, as a minister, as what. And the party would also love to invest in youth that quickly understand the ideas and they're able to push the agenda of the party forward. Going back to the issue that you asked me about, an old man, by the way, a very wise old man of 76 and whatever you want to call it. You see, the NRM has got, just like any other organized political structure, rather institution, it has got a constitution. And the constitution provides for a couple of things. It provides for a national conference, it provides for leadership on the top sec, it provides for all those things. And every single 5 years, the NRM does open up, wait a minute, it does open up its doors, it opens up its doors for people to apply for people to go to the secretariat pick nominations forms for president, for SEC, for NEC, for what, you know? And those who have the capacity, like I do not have the capacity to run for president of Uganda right now, maybe later in the future, but those who have got the capacity do go for that. We have a constitution. And actually, I can guarantee you on this that we are the only party existing right now that has got a very well built up structure that goes to the ground. If you go to your village, Patrick, right now and ask for a publicity secretary of the Women's League or the PWD League at your village, at the parish, at the sub-county, at the municipality, at the district, he or she is there, unless they died. If they died, they replaced them.
And then
Tell me
the
which other party
thing,
that has got such structures in this country.
the other thing
just
is,
want to-
is
Just-
that
yes, first, yes,
is
first.
that our president is voted democratically. Like I will give you an example in 2016, where it was an open campaign between, that was 2011, between him and Patrick Amama Mbabazi, and he won the flag. So he wins the flag democratically. He campaigns, they call a delegates conference, he campaigns and wins the flag democratically. So it's not like he's overstaying like you do it. He's always winning democratically.
There's nothing
Even
like-
now,
there's nothing.
even now he's going to win democratically. The people are going to vote for him. So it's the people who place him to stay.
So when you point out the problems that we see in the country today and the problems affecting the young people, and you know you've had latitude to run the affairs of the country for 35 years, don't you think there's something wrong with this mass party that cannot provide for the young people that you want to represent? Why can't you just wake up and smell the coffee and say, you know what, things are bad, and perhaps you need started renewal and maybe use another special purpose vehicle that can take you to the promised land, because you are not going anywhere.
Patrick, I just want to rebut my comrade who gets born again and backslides in the same minute.
Yes.
You know, Professor Mwambusia says that the younger people in Uganda are simply being participated. People are jubilating and celebrating that there is a structure. But that structure, he talks about the NRM structure. Yes, it is in existence, it is there. But what is it doing? Let me give you an example. We were faced by this coronavirus, and they are establishing a national task force. How many young people, youth representative on that task force? And yet you're talking about a structure that runs up to village level. They could not even consider that structure to go and sensitize people about COVID-19 and how they can prevent it. So for me, I think that as young people, we must be in position to speak truth to power. Patrick belongs to the NRM, but you must be in that position to say, I think that the party has taken a wrong direction. It has taken us back. We must stand up to be counted. So that is exactly what I'm saying. So when you go ahead and praise...
Those are the... No, Patrick, it's not about praising alone.
I beg to be protected.
One at a time.
You know, when you talk about, because you've been raising issues, talking about how young people are facing challenges, and then you want to offer your leadership. So does that mean that your leadership is going to create some level of transformation, or it is going to be more of the same, no change?
No,
because
but
if
I
you
think
offer leadership, it should be for the better. And you acknowledge that young people are left behind. I've just given you an example. Tell me any village youth chairperson who is on the village task force of COVID-19. Nobody. We are simply there, and these guys are up here celebrating that those guys are there, but we are useless. We, as young people, regardless of our political affiliation, we must be in position to stand up and be counted. Because let me tell you, Patrick, you can only scratch where it itches. If we don't itch, people will not scratch, regardless of what party we are in. So, my brother Patrick, I appreciate you belong to that party and you must appear sympathetic, but let's be honest. It is what is going to change this country.
Let me tell you, maybe we need to understand the context of what it means to belong to a party. And I can guarantee you, whether NRM, NUP or ANT or what, including your party, which is just a new party, we are even waiting to see the youth structure of that party. If you know, and it hasn't even yet come up.
It is
as
work
we
in
speak.
progress.
You know, yeah. Well, great. We're waiting for that. But what I wanted to allude to, Patrick, is that we must bring recommendations, and it is not wrong to bring recommendations to a system. And that is why some of us are offering ourselves. Like, for example, my agenda, like I earlier said, is that whole idea of economic transformation for young people. So I must go to Parliament and present myself to my party with recommendations. You talked about the Youth Livelihood Program. Quite an interesting program, right? But yes, there's some little bit of scores that have been made. But we have also seen a quite number of loopholes that we as youth leaders who have participated in the program can actually come out to advise. For example, first train the young people, equip them with skills. If you're going to give me money to start a saloon business, wait a minute, Patrick. If you're going to give me money to start a garage business, okay, first take me to a garage. Teach me how to do the mechanics and XYZ. Teach me how to do business, operating a garage, and then give me the money. You know, like that. Same for agriculture, same for sports, same for XYZ. So the whole idea is that it's not wrong to identify weaknesses in your party or challenges, because there's challenges everywhere. There's challenges in DP, there's challenges in NUP, there's challenges everywhere, just like in our party. But we must come out as youth leaders and be able to point out those challenges in respect.
So now, when as a young
And
man,
offer-
as a
and
young
offer
man who
recommendations.
understands, as a young man who understands the political history of our country, when you look at the people who have been in the party longer, or even people who know the party chairman more than you do, I can give you an example, and they are no longer working with him. People like the Honorable Augustine Zindana, people like the Honorable Amanya Mushega, people like Dr. Kiza Besije, people like Dr. Miriam Matembe. People who know President Yoweri Museveni best trust him less. How about you?
Well, I do not know a lot about the president. I've never interfaced with the president.
I'm giving you an example
Yes,
of
no,
people
no,
who
but
might know
you see, I
they
belong.
have served
wait,
with pride
I know
of the NRM party.
I know.
We can
I'm
imagine, we are inclined to believe that they know him
Patrick,
best.
I'm super young in politics to begin with. I'm super young in NRM, you know, second point. I've never interacted with the party chairman, but I'm a member of a party, of a structure, you know. But living upon, and I do not want you to dwell so much on the party, Patrick. I would appreciate if you dwelt more on what do I want to do for the young people who are, for young people in Kanungu, in Mbara, in Mitoma, in Rukunjiri, in
For
where?
heaven's
Exactly.
sake, your
How am I
constituency-
going to
your
inspire them?
constituency
How am I going to
Your
represent their
constituency
issues?
starts from Kiriandongo to Kisoro.
Exactly. So how
For heaven's sake.
those many young people that are looking up to
What do
me?
you do for the young people from Kiriandongo to Kisoro? What can Patrick's leadership really
No.
add?
My leadership can add, because you know the Chinese have this saying of a journey of 1,000 miles beginning with one step. We can all put
It's been 34 years.
Exactly. Well, it's been, you can count whatever number of years, fine. I'm not going to comment about the number of years. But what I must tell you is that there is a huge problem when it comes to the way young people are treated in the country. There's poverty in the country, rather among young people. There's unemployment, there's underemployment, there's all that. And we must bring some of these issues to the attention of our party and tell them, look, if we have a program like this, this is how best it can work. We need to have more consultations
Let me
with young
go to
people.
Esther.
Commenting.
Esther, I
district
know,
level,
Esther, you
you know.
mean well, you're well-intentioned, but for heaven's sake, you know, you're punching above your weight. Because look, how do you even go to Kalangala, from Kalangala to Koboko? From Koboko, you go to Vura, you go down to Virunga, you come back to wherever, you know, from Bulambuli to Bundibujo. First of all, it requires a lot of money. You must be a quite loaded young girl.
That is true.
You have the money, right?
Before I come to what it takes for me to move across the country, I want to tell my brother that he should not concentrate more on the 35 years. You know, we have achieved something in those 35 years. Uganda is not the way it was before. There is something that has changed. We have peace and stability. We have a democratic government. I mean, we have free education, universal education. We got immunization. There is something that has changed from 1985 to 2022. There is something that has changed. So it's not like in the period of the 35 years, there is nothing completely.
So the
you
issue,
speak like there is nothing
Esther, really
completely.
is not that we are not moving. I know we are.
But Esther is right. There's been some progress, and you know the most unfortunate.
Where
bit
do
is
we
that
ought to be?
The most, yeah,
Patrick,
we ought to be far, but there's been some
Yes.
progress.
I'd
But you know
love
what
to give
happens
an
most?
education here. You see, people concentrate on the hardware. But what helps a machine function is the software. We talk about things we see, the roads, the infrastructure, the electricity.
Do not underestimate
but
the infrastructure
hold it.
bit of
Let
this
me,
country
let me give
and of
you
this
a level
country.
of information. But let me tell you, the cores that help this function, this country function, are those things that we cannot touch. The democracy, the justice, the fairness, those things. Let me tell you, before Gaddafi fell, Libya was shining. Do you have an explanation why it is down? Because the leadership did not concentrate on addressing the software. While my brother and sister concentrate on talking about the hardware, the roads, the things that we can see. If we don't sort the question of software, this country will fall in one night and everyone will be going to exile. So it's not bad to have that. The president is on record saying Africa's problem are leaders who overstay in power. Was he wrong? Do you want to say the president was insane then?
We are trying to tell you that
let
the
me tell
president
you,
is
my
voted
comrade, let me
democratically.
tell you, my comrade, concentrate on the things that you cannot touch. They are important. They help systems function.
Okay.
If we are in a level where injustice is the order of the day, where there is no fairness in everything that we do,
And that's why we're talking
this
about
country
that
is
is
going
why
to
we're
fall
talking about the
in a
voices
night.
of young
Okay,
people.
gentlemen and lady, hold on to your points there because we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll try to connect with via Zoom with Boniface Okot, who is trying to represent the youth of northern Uganda. I hope technology will allow us to do that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guests tonight in the studio are young people. Esther Singwiri, who is vying to represent the young people of the whole country, national female youth. We have Patrick Mwesije, who's aspiring to represent the youth of Western Uganda, and we have David Bala aspiring to represent the youth of Eastern Uganda. We now want to be joined by Mr. Boniface Okot, who is also an aspirant to represent the youth of Northern Uganda. Boniface, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Kamara.
Okay, just tell us, why have you decided to join this election, and what can you really do for Northern Uganda that is stretching from Karamoja via the Acholi sub-region, Lango sub-region, and going the West Nile? We know, for example, the special interest groups did not perform so well, and especially the youth in the parliament that is ending right now. What can you be able to do and create a difference, Boniface, for the young people of Northern Uganda?
Thank you very much, Patrick, and all the comrades out there, the young people listening in and watching from every part of this country. Mr. Patrick, I want to remind us that we can dodge our responsibilities, but we cannot dodge the consequences of dodging our responsibilities. This time round, we as leaders who are...
We're having comms issues with Boniface, and let me ask my producer to turn up the audio here so that people in my guests can be able to also to listen to what Boniface is saying. If you could just say it again, Boniface.
Thank you very much, Patrick, once again. I would like to appreciate all the listeners and comrades out there. And I start by reminding us that we can dodge our responsibilities, but we cannot dodge the consequences of dodging our responsibilities. It is our generational mission as a young people now to ensure that we pacify our young people economically, because our greatest struggle now as a group of young leaders is economic pacification of our people. Northern Uganda, Mr. Patrick, as you rightfully said, is a wide constituency. We have close to 37 districts across Lango, Karamoja, Acholi, and West Nile. But we are ready to ensure that we legislate, and the legislation must be the right legislation. You know, we must have Ugandan solutions to our Ugandan problems. We, as Boniface I come in this capacity with a wealth of knowledge on management of youth-related issues. And I must admit that primary on the challenges affecting young people in northern Uganda is the unemployment question and underemployment question, because we have also a number of our young people who have gone to school, but they are doing things that they ought not to do. So all these are people that we must assist. And we intend, as their legislators in the next parliament, to ensure that we have as much skilling programs as possible for these young people, because primary, you know, for a very long time, most of our members of parliament have not actually been performing the responsibilities that they ought to do, because primary is legislation, oversight, and representation of these young people. Mr. Patrick, you know that my region is a region that went through, has a long history of civil unrest. And these are young people who are in most dire need. When you look at the poverty rate, my region is the most underprivileged region of all. And this needs an aggressive program, an aggressive leadership. We have now had elections of structures of the National Youth Councils. And I must appreciate and congratulate especially the youth who have come through the structures, especially the ones in the National Resistance Movement. And our goals are very clear. Our agenda, central agenda, is a progressive youth agenda. We've realized that one of the primary challenges that we had is leadership of the young people. I'm privileged to inform you that this time around, we want to have a proactive leadership. We want to have as many induction trainings as possible, because these young leaders must be able to know exactly what it takes to handle the responsibilities that they are going to handle. Because as you have been informed by some of the panelists,
I understand, Boniface, that you are also going to run. You are also going to run under the NRM party, and some of the problems that you try to look at are problems that could have been solved by the party where you belong, which is NRM. I'm sure the young people you want to represent in northern Uganda will be asking you, where has this party been to look into the issues of young people, so that issues of unemployment, issues of, for those who feel they are marginalized or left out, so that there is some kind of inclusion. Those questions will be coming to you. I wonder what you'll tell your brothers and sisters in the North.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. When you look at the policy formulation process, you will realize that the party in its manifesto has been able to capture the issues of the young people rightfully. The question and the problem has largely been in the implementation of some of these programs. But we must admit that there is generally goodwill from the party. And you can also see from the results of the National Youth Council elections, the committees that have been elected, that even in northern Uganda itself, a majority of the young people who have come through the structures of the National Youth Council are members of the National Resistance Movement. This, in part, is approval that the National Resistance Movement is indeed becoming popular day by day in northern Uganda. Most of the programs that have been initiated, for instance, because the greatest...
If you may allow me this question, Mr. Boniface Okot. Mr. Boniface Okot, are you really sure the young people in northern Uganda can make that clear difference between NRM, the political party, and the state? Because when you say that you are a mass party and you have structures up the ground, we also know really that in most cases you have used state infrastructure to be able to build the party. And most of the critics will point to that, and it's a fact, because when you see an RDC getting involved, when you see state officials, public officials involved in trying to help the party build those structures, then you know that you have just been riding on something that is not really should be yours. So you can be proud of that. you can't be proud of the fusion of the state and the party?
Mr. Patrick, I would like to implore you to look through the constitution of the NRM. The constitution of the NRM actually provides for a leadership at the village of 30 people. And these 30 people, I have not seen the name of an RDC of the 30 people. In fact, the party advocates that in its structures, you ought not to be a civil servant or even a public servant. So all these people in the structures of the party are indeed members of the structures. The NRM is the most structurally organized party in Uganda because we have leadership right from the village to parish, district, and the national level. Mr. Patrick, if you go to my...
Just hold there, Mr. Cote, and this is going to be my last question to you. If the NRM is the most organized sort of party, how come you failed on the most basic thing called a register, a party register? And when you went for your primaries, the chairman had to say, you know what, whoever comes would vote. If you cannot just be able to take care of the basic, and the most important, I suppose, as a party register, then what is it that you have in control?
Mr. Patrick, you see, there are diseases of development. And I must inform you, Mr. Patrick, that change or even progress is gradual in nature. And there is a lot of pressure on the national resistance movement to have a huge membership. There are many people who want to join the party and want to be a part of the process. And this is just part of the manifestation. Indeed, for me, this is a good sign. It is a good sign because it shows that every single day we have people who want to join the party. And we must look at it positively. But as a youthful member of the National Resistance Movement, I rebuke the violence that was exhibited in some of the election centers, in some of the villages. It is not good for our democratic process. And I believe this is just a small percentage of this general success story. I believe generally the policy that the national chairman passed was in good faith.
Okay.
And indeed, many areas managed to achieve good results from the process.
All right, I want to thank you.
There were simply pockets of violence.
Okay, Mr. Boniface Okot, who is vying for the Northern Uganda Youth Representation, we thank you so much. We value your time and we appreciate your insights here on the spot. We wish you luck. All right, I'm going to cut the link to...
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, and good luck, Boniface. Okay, he's, I suppose, a very passionate young man who wants to represent his people. And again, well, if it is about infrastructure, Northern Uganda and Bunyoro now probably have the most tarmacked regions of our country.
Bala has
but
seen that.
yes, Northern Uganda and Bunyoro region are probably the most tarmacked regions in Uganda. But on those roads, as you go to Atiak or you go to Nimule, wherever you're going, what are you transporting?
Interesting question. And again, Patrick, I will agree with you. And at some point, actually, I also want to agree slightly with my colleague Bala on the soft copy, rather on the soft where of things. Yeah, it's true, and we've done extremely very well with partly the hardware. I mean, looking at the road network in Bunyoro from Bulisa to Hoima to Chikube to wherever, Kakumido Plus, first class tarmac and all that. Amazing stuff. But of course, like you said, there is those other software, very pertinent issues that must be addressed. And for me, I'll quickly run to things like transparency and accountability, you know, in terms of resources, that which is taxpayers' money actually, that does get lost in the hands of people who may not necessarily be NRM or what, but these are usually civil servants and politicians and what, and I condemn that personally. I think that is not right, and as youth leaders, whether within the NRM or out of the NRM, there's absolutely nothing we learn from that. So that, it is actually challenges like those, lack of transparency, lack of accountability. You talked about issues of justice and constitutionalism, democracy and governance, equality and equity, etc., which are still a huge problem and a huge challenge that we must address. And that would now lead to addressing your question on what is transported on that road. Because to have the roads in Hoima, apart from transporting oil and other things, I do not know much about what is happening there in terms of the oil and XYZ, but our farmers being able to transport produce and what, you need NADS on ground.
What are we producing,
wait a minute, that's what I'm telling you. You need NADS to jump on ground and empower farmers, you know, provide them with pesticides, fertilizers, you know, storage equipment and all that. And that's what I'm referring to, Patrick, to say that. And those nuts on corruption, for example, on lack of transparency, which is happening. And even the president knows about, and I will speak about this without any fear or favor, that there is too much money that is being stolen in this country. And it's unfortunate that it keeps part of the population extremely left out. And by the way, majority of these are young people.
Let me comment on the issue of transparency. That's why in NRM there is a program of nationalism and patriotism. You see, the people that are swindling government funds are Ugandans. They are not foreigners. It's not like a Chinese is going to come here and swindle money. They are Ugandans. Why do I bring in national patriotism? If you love Uganda, if you have grown up in Uganda and you love Uganda, you will know that if I steal money meant to build a hospital, I am affecting a Ugandan. So if you love Uganda, your country, you will know that I'm not going to do this because it will affect a Ugandan.
So you're telling us of how things should be the ideal thing. But you know what? Guess what? They don't care and they are stealing.
That's why I'm trying to say
right now they are even stealing from patients of COVID-19. They don't give up.
That's why I'm trying to say that our Ugandans should be taught how to love their country, how to love their fellow Ugandan, how to have humanity. Because I mean, if you love your country, you're not going to do this. You know, it's not, for example, I will say that it's not the president who will come and steal the money meant to build the hospital. It's somebody else, but we are going to blame it on him. But if this Ugandan was taught how to love his country, how to be human, he wouldn't do that.
Why would somebody even teach me to love my country?
Patrick,
I
just need to interject.
You need to, because if it is a challenge...
it would be very unfortunate for us to continue this show as our sister misleads the public. Let me tell you, people can never be taught to love. I don't know whether you're dating or something, you have not been taught to love. I've been seeing lectures and lessons about patriotism. I don't even know how they mark. And then they say this one is 50% patriotic, 40%. It is ambiguous, it is funny, it is something that we cannot comprehend. How are we taught to love? I think it is in the wrong direction. Patriotism is sin. I fall in love because I want this country and what is happening. What you're saying is if we teach people patriotism, they will not be corrupt and what. You need to appreciate that it goes back to the political will. This government has put up so many things, including the IGG, including the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, and all organs. But it is a question of political will. You will steal, and when you steal, by the way, it goes beyond political will. When you steal, for example, people will gang up and say, that one, if you are Musoga and then you steal, Basoga will come up and say, no, that one, they are fighting him. He is ours, he is our thief. Then, when it comes to political will, the president keeps looking on. Every time the president keeps promising that this is, when in 2016 he promised us that it is Kisanja Hakuna Mchezo. Patrick, in journalism, you can trace and find so many corruption scandals. It is Mchezo Kabisa. So it is a question of political will. It is nothing to do with patriotism. And let us not mislead the public on lectures of patriotism.
Esther, you know, you say that they should teach us. You know, I just want to refresh your mind. When we see Kiprotich or Cheptegei doing his thing and winning accolades. I am in love with my country because of what Cheptegei has done. In fact,
yes.
people in Ankwere, where Patrick comes from, have even called him Chebiteji because they just want to own. When you see Honorable Ruth Jena Cheng doing her thing, trying to save, you know, Ugandans from COVID-19, the Batoro have even given her a petty name. They call her Dieri. When we see Dennis Onyango trying to save goals for Uganda Cranes, we jump in Nambole, we hug each other without even knowing whether you're Mtoro or actually
Patrick,
so
just
patriotism can come when good is happening around us.
Patrick, just maybe something, in addition to the political will that you're talking about, I think, and going back to the software that he talked about, I think we need to go back to the systems. The question of lack of transparency and accountability in this country, corruption, whatever you call it, for me, draws back to the systems. Like you said, we have institutions, the IGG, you talked about the anti-corruption, we have the anti-corruption court, we have the what. These are institutions that are fully equipped with technical people who are paid salaries, who are, you know, but for some reason, they are not working. You know, that's a worry that I have as a youth leader. And I cannot hide behind the carpet to say things on that line.
By the way, what do you want to do for the young people to create a difference in Western Uganda?
It's quite interesting how you're driving me left, right, and center. But Patrick, my agenda, once again, is on unleashing the potential of young people. First, by making our leadership understand what meaningful youth participation is, bringing young people on the table, not as beneficiaries, but as stakeholders and partners in policy making, in governance, not only at the national level, but also down. For example, if there's a local health center too, in my village, you know, or in my parish, can we have 2 young people who are part of its management? Because majority of the young people who come there for ART, who come there for family planning, majority of the clients are young people. And then take it like that. All these institutions, IGG's office, what.
Let me tell you something, and maybe Esther can. Do you know that in some of these health centers, in fact, they have created what you call the youth-friendly corner, the youth corner. How can you serve the biggest population of your country in a corner?
Patrick, now you see when you go back to health issues, and by the way, that's my specialty.
Yeah, but you know of the youth you know of the youth corner.
Yeah, no, I know that quite well.
But you know the young people are the majority in this country.
Yes, Patrick.
And you want to serve them in a corner.
I've been in health advocacy. That has been actually my specialty and public.
This is why I'm asking this, because before I called you, I made a background check.
It goes back to programming. Actually, there's a study that was done a few years ago which showed that the youth corners were not that effective. Because even regardless of the corners and what, you have so many young people getting pregnant. You have so many young people, very many young girls getting unwanted teenage pregnancies. You have so many young people getting HIV infections on the rise. You have all those challenges on the rise. But there are key aspects to health programming that I need to educate you about. One, the attitude of a health worker, for example. You might have a corner, but a corner might not be necessary if you have a health worker who has a positive attitude to a young person who's coming in to seek a service. The cost of the service, for example, if I want a family planning product and I'm a girl, is it at a cost that is affordable to me? You know, the distance to a health facility, me as a young person, do I have enough cash to jump on a bike or somewhere to go for antenatal? So that's what we're talking about, again, with meaningful youth participation, in understanding the key challenge that affect young people and integrating them within your programming. And that is one thing that is lacking in this country. And you asking me what I want to do, these are proposals that we want to bring on to the floor of Parliament. And I'm glad the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga is someone who is more into listening, you know, who gives platform to different groups of young people, including also all the people with different political thinking and all that. And I wish I could have some of these colleagues in Parliament, because I am very confident that the youth who are listening to me right now will give me the mandate to hold the flag and finally get into Parliament and all that. So these are the proposals we want to put there. But my biggest issue, Patrick, is the vulnerable and the young people who have been left behind. Those young people in the sub counties down there who are involved in you know, chakala business, in farming, and what, who do not have a voice in Parliament. We have we have 5 MPs in parliament right now, which is, speaking of equality and equal representation in parliament, that is way, way low, because that is 2% of the 78% of the population. So meaning that us not having a voice is actually a structural bottleneck within parliament. For example, we need to lobby for more youth MPs in parliament. We cannot have a youth MP representing an entire region. Those are the questions you are asking me. How are you going to represent people from Kiriandongo to Kisoro and what? Why don't you have youth MPs at a sub-regional level? You have you're from
let me give you an example.
From,
in this election, you know, even if you open it up, after all, from 18 years to whatever, you can just join politics and even represent your people in your constituency. I have heard and I know young people who have made it in the primaries, at least the first step. And in NRM, I can give you an example of a young man here who is a friend of mine from which constituency? Daniel Obal Daniel. Obal Daniel is from our Jury constituency. Obal Daniel actually even contested with the minister. You know, my own constituency, the young man, Donald Katalihwa. Donald Katalihwa contested with a minister, a former minister, and you know, and the winning was landslide. There are so many other names of young people. So we don't have necessarily to have a special
youth leaders who have downed big time people. Chitata in Rengo.
Yes, but you don't.
He downed.
You do not need.
All what a young leader needs to have is the confidence, the braveness, the patience, and perseverance, because we have, from 18, you have a platform to represent anywhere as a youth or under constituency, anywhere. So if opportunity comes for youth to be given more youth positions for youth MP, that would be good. But still, I would call upon young people out there who are willing to serve this country to come up, run on constituency. Even the youth positions, you can still come independent, you can still show interest if you have the willingness of serving Ugandans.
All right, gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. But when we come back, I'll open the lines so that you too can be a part of this discussion. You're going to see the numbers on your screen. I still believe that this country is in the hands of young people. You are going to determine which direction we're going to take. If we go up, it's because you will have helped us. You will have helped us to go up. Should we go down, and God forbid, we are going to blame it on you because you have the numerical strength. Use that numerical strength with care and confidence and grit and clarity, and be super focused, because we have only one country called Uganda, and that country we have to defend it so well, to live in it and enjoy in it. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara, and my guests in the studio are young people. We have Esther Asingwire, we have Patrick Mwesije, we have Mr. David Bala, and we're looking into the youth agenda. What do the youth of Uganda need, and how have they been treated? Have they actually been used? Because we have had so many words that have been exchanged, especially nowadays. People are coming off so many phrases, but I don't want to get into them because you know them. So how can we build a vibrant citizenry of young people who know their rights and they know their responsibilities, and nobody's going to take advantage of them, so that when they make a choice, they'll make that choice from an informed decision point, so that they can help as building blocks to take Uganda to a better and a wonderful place that we want it to be. I'm going to take your calls, and I ask you to be brief and precise so that they can take more. Hello? I have a call online. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir. What's your name?
My name is Augustine Otuko.
Augustine Otuko, you are on air and you are loud and clear.
Oh, thank you very much. I want to thank the comrades in the studio.
Okay.
And Boniface, who has been on Zoom. Okay. My question to Bala,
yes,
Comrade Bala, is that apparently the youth are the majority in Uganda.
Okay.
Almost 80% of the population are young people.
Okay.
Do we still need these special interest positions of youth MP? Because if we are the majority, then it means that the entire population is composed of young people.
I think that's a good one.
So the people who need affirmative action are the old. because they are the minority. So what do you have to say about that as ANT? Thank you.
Augustine, thank you so much. You have helped me open a certain horizon I wasn't seeing. I'm so humbled by that. Let me take another call online. Hello. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening. What's your name, sir?
I'm called Edwin Namanya.
Edwin, where are you calling from?
I'm called Edwin.
Yes,
I'm from Bushenyi.
Edwin in Bushenyi, you're on air. You're loud and clear. Go right ahead with your
I'm
question.
calling from Bushenyi district.
Okay, go right ahead, sir. Okay, Edwin, I think we have comms challenges with you. Here is the thing. If your phone goes through, please turn down the volume of your TV so that it doesn't bring a challenge, an echo to you or to us. Turn down, or what other people call reduce. Please turn down. All right, I have another call online. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Kamara.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Kamara. I am Koli Wamboko, calling from Mbale.
Mbale Wamboga.
Yes. You see, the youth are the majority.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, the problem the youth is having is being used. You know, if the youth had to come up with a clear program for themselves, they would actually constitute majority, especially in the leadership positions like in parliament. But the problem is these political parties get up youth and use them and actually dump them thereafter. And then this starts with these only gentlemen and ladies to stay in power, and they end up not helping them. So they need to regurgitate this and get on board and work for themselves than looking at these different color parties in power or help them. So the youth should come up and energize themselves and get on board and work for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our caller from Mbale, Mr. Wamboka. I'm going to take another call online. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Kamara.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening. This is Mike calling from Jinja.
Mike in Jinja, you're on air.
Yes. Now, my question, my information to Bala is, when you say we do not have software, and you give an example of the judiciary and the justice system, yet you use the same system to make sure that you contest in the Makerere Guild elections, it's the misinformation to the country. We have the software system and people using them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Probably we have to speak with clarity when we're talking about software. I have another call online. Quite a number of you would want to participate, which is a good thing. So I have a caller. Hello. 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 Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening, sir. What's your name? Good evening, sir. What's your name?
Why?
All right. I'm going to cut. No, I'm going to cut that line.
Hello.
Unfortunately. Yes. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Good evening.
I'm Florence from Jinja.
Florence in Jinja, you're on air.
Hello.
Florence from Jinja, please tell us what you have to say tonight. All right. That's your constituency, Bala. Let me try to maybe take one or two more callers, and then my guests will respond and make their concluding remarks. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
So I'm on NTV line. Are you there on the city?
All right. Unfortunately, I think you're not following, so...
I'm seeing here.
Okay, I'm going to cut that line so that I take somebody who is super focused. I'm sorry for that. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Yes, I'm Brian. I'm calling from.
Yes, Brian, go right ahead, sir.
Now, first thing is about the...
I'm sorry?
We, like those ones who have called right now. Someone tells you we have the software, but the software we are having on paper, it is not there in reality, and it is always not fair. So now that's another problem. The other thing we have, like that gentleman in yellow, I like how he's talking, but Mr. Kamara, please have the recordings. Because we don't know what happens when they get in there. They forget it. Like now he's talking points.
He's now talking points.
When he gets in parliament,
he will speak in tongues.
So please have the recording. One day you might have to account. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. I suppose my producer is telling me I can take just one more caller, and then that will be it. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name?
Robert.
Robert, where are you calling from?
Hoima.
Hoima. Robert, you're on air.
Yes, please.
Okay, go right ahead.
City Hoima.
Go right ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I like the discussion by that gentleman in yellow, which is really so good.
Okay.
Yes. Following the recent elections, it has been noted that many youth have come on board, and the old-timers are out. Many ministers have gone out, and many youth have taken up, which is so good. And we're really very glad about it. Thank you.
Robert in Hoima, we thank you so much. All right. We thank you for your calls. Most of you have been very disciplined and precise and concise, and you did not take us to all over. You were just precise in what you wanted to say. And the questions, one or two to Bala, you respond to them and you make your concluding remark. I'll go to Asingwire, she makes her concluding remark, and then Patrick.
Thank you very much, callers. Augustine raises a very interesting point. We are 80% and we're still under the special interest group, a majority in the minority. I think that by now, the spirit behind the establishment of the affirmative action was that we had people like youth, women, who were not involved in politics before, were kept in the kitchens, in the backyards. So by putting in place affirmative action, the intention was to bring them on table. It's been, I don't know how many years, more than 25 years down the road, and we still have affirmative action for a population, for a percentage that is high in a population. So for me, I think that that's very absurd. And it is upon us. I don't think that we should belong to the special interest group because we are the majority. We run this country. We are supposed to be in every decision-making process in this country. I don't think that we should be in the special interest group, but we have chosen to. So it is incumbent upon us to stand up, to get counted, to get organized, and we will get out of the special interest groups. And Mike talks about the software, and he talks about my case against Makerere University. Okay, well, if you have so many injustices...
And it's not only that one.
It's not only that. Okay, but mine could be just one in the so many where we have seen justice. But let me tell you, you watch news and see a whole village chased out, and there's a big man, and there's an order from above, someone wants to take that land. And we have people who are hopeless. Those are young people. What are they going to do with their lives? They don't have land. When you don't have land, what can you do? So I think there's so much of the injustice, the unfairness that we need to handle, because it's a foundation. The software is a foundation for the hardware. When it corrupts, will fall. And my concluding remarks is I think that as a young person, I have taken time to appreciate the challenges of the young people. And as a leader, number one, I'm going to put my first effort on offering leadership and organizing the young people. The National Youth Council has 600,000 young people in that structure who can be used as change agents, but we have not taken the trouble, and that is going to be my number one, because it's going to enable us change the mindset. Number two, I want to also help the young people engage in agriculture. UBOS gives us very interesting statistics. The average farm person who participates in agriculture in Uganda is 54 years old. What are the young people doing? They look at agriculture very boring, very unattractive. So we must make sure that as leaders, we make agriculture very attractive. One, by giving young people, availing young people with capital to invest in agriculture, by engaging with government to offer extensive services, but by also supporting young people who make agriculture smart. I have a colleague, Basil Mota. He has founded the AgriDuka, connecting farmers to the markets, to the buyers. Such programs are very good. We have young people who are engaged in innovations and technology. We all over, every time we watch news, we see young people, this one has invented this, the other one has invented. Where are those people? We don't even have a database. We have a story, Patrick, just as I conclude. We have a story in Estonia. The young people came up with this application called Skype that Okot Boniface has used. And they sold it to Microsoft at $8 billion US. And you do not know what that 8 billion did in transforming the young people. So we must take innovations and technology seriously. Okay. So as a leader, those are some of the issues that are going to be...
Let me end with a question that I'm going to digress a little bit, because you come from Alliance for National Transformation and you're party flag bearer. I've just been, you know, following what is going on WhatsApp. They say he's such a good man, that they are convinced he's such a good man. However, he's too good to be president. He should have been maybe a bishop. The others saying, you know what, he should maybe run in another country, not Uganda, maybe in the Uganda of 2040. I wonder, when you're trying to defend your flag bearer, what you tell them?
Well, it's very absurd that our people have lived in a situation where they think bad governance is the order of the day. And when you talk about good leaders, they are a laughing stock. I think it's a question of mindset. And we need more of the leaders like General Mugisha Muntu to transform this country. Okay. Because people think that these good leaders are supposed to be in the US, in UK, they keep saying...
Well, in the US now, they
yes,
don't.
He's supposed to be in Europe. But come on, it's laughable that when people come out and these are leaders of value, these are leaders of substance, these are leaders that are tested, you think that this is a country that does not need good leaders. It is laughable, and I think that as young people, like you said, who are driving the direction of this country, we must change and begin to choose. Just to make one point as I conclude, choosing good over bad. We're in a process. We are like teller machines right now. Everywhere we go, it is the highest bidder, the one who gives money, the one who buys more alcohol, who becomes the leader. But our people must change to start examining the kind of leaders they vote, because what you sow is what you reap. If you plant bad leaders, expect bad results of leadership.
Speaking on planting bad leaders, I will call upon all the young people to try as much as possible to avoid being used. I know we are going into difficult times and you will need the money, but try to choose a leader who is going to represent you fully, who is going to serve you fully, who is going to work for the interest of the people. I call young people to let's get united. We can really change a lot if we get united and we decide one thing, we get one voice. We can really change a lot. So with the other challenges we are facing, they also come up to the choices we make as Ugandans, as young people. So when you choose a leader who is not going to represent you, you also you were once part of the problem. You caused the problem. So let's make right choices. Let's choose leaders that are going to represent us. I will finally call upon young people to start small. You know, have something you're doing. Have something that is bringing in income, so that you have some resources. Okay. You know, you're not going to eye at that money a candidate is going to give you. You will be having something that will make you choose from the heart, make a right choice.
And for you who is traveling across the country to dazzle young people to be able to give you the mandate, I'm sure they want to turn it to you like a mobile ATM of sorts.
No, with me they don't. Our delegates are very understanding. All you need to do is meet them, talk to them, tell them what you intend to do, and that is it. They don't.
Like the way how you have defended your delegates. Okay, you're parting short, Patrick.
Thank you, thank you. Quickly, Patrick, on the issue of whether we still need youth representation under the special interest groups. Well, I think we need to be truthful and realistic to ourselves as young people in this country. You know, every time we see new districts being created, when they are created, they cut through constituencies and all that. We see new MPs coming on board, and I can guarantee you, Patrick, that unfortunately, majority of those MPs, majority are 50 years old and above. It's on rare instances you see young people coming through the system. Let me tell you, we are extremely under and down represented in the legislative arm of government as young leaders. Yes, it's true. We might rise up and demand for those constituency seats, we get them, okay? But also, you know, the existing environment, yeah? Like, for example, now, the mode of election and campaigning is a scientific one. You know, you must have airtime on TV, on radio, apart from maybe having, after lobbying NTV and making noise to you. I'm saying we need a platform. And actually, I want to thank you and NTV. I should
just say this is free of charge.
Yes, this is 100% free of charge. But out of lobbying, though, out of extreme lobbying, to see, you know how many times I've told your management to say we need young people on this platform to express our issues. But how many young people have the capacity to lobby for such spaces? So you see, the existing environment alone does not give a platform for young people to take over those constituency seats. So what remains of us? It is these special interest group opportunities that we must take up. But, you know, like I was saying, we don't need so many constituency MPs in parliament. You'd rather have sub-regional youth MPs in parliament, you know, and then speak to issues of quality of the leaders that you're sending there. And also capacitate these young people. I mean, like, capacitate them with resources to move around, to do monitoring, to do coordination of programs, and task me to come back and write reports and report to various committees of parliament, present to the floor of parliament, go back to my young people. And I want to guarantee that young man that is out there that says I'm most likely to change. I don't think I'm a tested young leader, Patrick, both at the national level, at a global level. And, you know, it's just about understanding issues, speaking to them out of respect and bringing them to the people who are directly supposed to be addressing them. Lastly, my agenda is on economic emancipation of young people. I must reiterate the fact that young people constitute the huge majority of the most poor, vulnerable, marginalized, and underserved people in our population. So we need to skill our young people. I really want, and I know if I become your MP, I'm going to have an opportunity to meet the president. I'm going to have an opportunity to interact with several ministers. You know, we need to have industrial youth.
Meeting the president is an agenda also?
Yeah, wait, no. We need to have industrial youth skilling centers in our districts where our young people can go and acquire skills. You don't have to meet the president
for that.
No, I talked about ministers. Didn't I talk about and other institutions of government? It doesn't necessarily need to be the president alone, right? And other institutions of government. We need to know that we need to skill our young people. You are talking about innovations and technology and what? My brother, if you cannot speak about creating an infrastructure that skills these young people, then you're in your own world. And then open up resources. We need our taxpayers' money to work for our youth. We need our young people to have quality healthcare services. We need our young people in schools to have a supportive schooling environment, you know, where our girls are not dropping out because they are missing sanitary towels, there's no water at school, they are sitting on the floors, blah, 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 blah. I mean, we need to see another young person who has grown up through that system. I know what I've gone up through USC, UPE, and what. I understand. And young people need to see young leaders like us who have gone up through the system coming up to advise. And then very lastly, Patrick, is on amplifying the voices of young people, coordinating and mobilizing and inspiring. What young people need right now is hope. They need hope. They need fellow youth leaders that can give them hope. And like one of the callers was saying, that way they can be mobilized and they rise up, you know, to demand, not even at the national level, but even at the local level. Your LC1 chairperson, your sub-county chairperson, your councillors down at all those levels, you know, to represent you effectively. Do not rush people. You Kampala people have a tendency of Kampalarizing everything. Back on the ground, you know, in our districts, for you Ballas are far away from our reality. Our young people want economic emancipation. They need money in their pockets, and not this just politics.
But money comes with change
I know, but that is the problem. And you see, I'm glad that our party chairman, this is his agenda. And I'm glad to work with him.
Of giving sacks of money?
Not giving sacks of money, skilling young people and providing resources for them to engage in actual business, in things that can increase money in their pockets.
Patrick, I want to thank you so much. Politics our time is out. Patrick Mwesije, Esther Asingwire, and David Bala. And also Boniface Okot, who joined us on Zoom. And all of you have been a part of this discussion. I have to thank you so much and have to thank you for your great company. You know what, Uganda? I'm more hopeful today than ever before because of the young people I've met in the last couple of weeks and even today, because they seem to be resolved. They seem to be focused, and they are enlightened and are educated. I think since they make the majority of our country, Uganda is in good hands with these people. If only they can make the right choices. I know candidates are coming to you. Tens of thousands of people now are trying to join elective positions. And most of them are going to come and tell you that they are going to change your lives. They won't. But you know what? You just have to listen to them. Read their manifestos. Because for you to make that choice, there's not going to be an epiphany that's going to come before you. You will read or listen to them and make a choice. If possible, let us demonetize, as in remove the money from this election and perhaps vote for the people, the right men and women who can take our country forward. And some of you who are highly educated, please, let us not become brilliant idiots. Good night, and God bless Uganda.